All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah, Father. Greetings, family. I pray all is well. I wanted to bring this video forward. It's a part of us understanding what so many people are putting out. When we truly understand that ones are going around a wheel, ones are listening to ones that are stagnated. And according to what I understand in this timing, it's okay. So I wanted to share this video, and then I'm going to point out some points, and it may stop along the way within the video to bring more insight as I'm being led to bring forth. Here we go, fam.
I consider that the so-called black people of the West are actually the Jews of the scripture. And, you know, it's a weird thing in my life because I was always taught that these European...
So I want to pause there. So the so-called black people of the West, well, correction. We're across the whole entire earth. And when you really sit and think and research and see with an open eyes that all the dark Eumelanin people of the originals, which we are the descendants of the originals, are put in the same situation, whether it's by colonization, by slavery, by exploiting us from A to Z. It's the same thing. Let's continue.
From Europe were Jews. And so, you know, you're looking one direction, you're not. But then when you start looking at, like, you know, first you go like, well, are they ethnically Jew? You know, and you look for that, right? And I think the best argument for the ethnicity of their Jewish heritage is the old maps, the old sailors' maps have the interior of West Africa named Judaland, and there's a couple other things that are very Hebrew tribe related. A lot of people contend that the Ibu tribe of Africa that's just really a variation of the word Hebrew. So those are points to be made, perhaps anecdotal, because
So again, we're pulling from certain things that are familiar, that we align with the Bible. And we're going with that for those who still stagnated. They're going with what the Bible lined things up and what is said. But let's continue to listen.
I think as I've looked into the bloodbath, like, it's hard to follow on either side. And so I don't want to contend against the European Jewish people, right? Like, if they are a fulfillment of Noah's prophecy, we don't want to treat them the way that Ham. If these are the children of Japheth dwelling in the tents of Shem, when Noah said that, he was saying they would dwell safely, right? That Shem and Japheth are brothers. So I believe that there's something redemptive to this thing. And so when I look at the black Hebrew, what is solid for me, I think about God's character. I think about the character of God. I think about the evidence of the scripture. I think about what Yahweh says to Moses when he says, surely I've heard the groaning of my people, knowing that this people have groaned. In that same way, the groan of being the captive, right? Being this whole system is parasitic to this one people and keeping this people down. And then you wonder, well, how can you get value from putting another person down? Well, it just is proof that people have value.
So again, looking across the continent of Africa. Places which you probably would call Morocco, Libya, Egypt, you would probably say, well, those are part of African countries, but they're doing, basically in the same alignment of the Europeans in the Western, as far as being a part of that system. Well, then you have to look at who is shown more so, and their Geno, which came much later, unto the originals. Those people would match the Geno of what you see in Israel, what you would see in Europe, in more so in the sense of showing, and what you would see in America, in Canada, you understand, Australia. I sat yesterday for a great bit, and I, thought about this in the sense of everywhere on this earth, ones have came and conquered in the sense of, and they did it so much by deceit, how they came about it, right? And the ones that actually felt the blunt of it were dark people, were dark Eumelanin people. So the atrocities that have been brought forth, when you look at the Inquisition back, the Spanish Inquisition and so forth, it was the same thing as they're doing in what they call Israel today towards the Palestinians. They gave them a time to leave, and those who didn't leave, then they got dealt with. The same thing they've done to our people in Europe. You were like, well, how did Europe got mainly white with the Geno at the end of the spectrum? They did the same thing. Anybody who with the dark melanin skin, they ran out or either killed or enslaved or whatnot. Same thing. Same exact playbook. So when you think of Africa and you see South Africa, you see a small sector of white people, the Geno of the white people from these places I've named. You see how they are more so lining up with the power of controlling, certain things to be a thorn in our, South Africans, people that are there in their sides. So you're like, wow. So they went and conquered the whole world by deceit and brought forth a false God. And they don't even live by the lineup of this false God. So you have to know that it's false. The mass of them don't even adhere to those 10 commandments. You understand? And I'm saying this for a reason, because this is what's, the structure. But those laws that they call and name the 10 commandments were taken from the Ma'at, the walls of Kemet. We must go deeper to understand that. So just, like I would just have taken before the Most High, Father, what happened? What happened? Because the Bible tells us that, just like this man is mentioning that, Judah is in America, and then the Igbos, and there's links, a line or points to the Hebrews and so forth, that and the other. We're going by the book, right? But I'm like, Father, what did we do overall? Because I saw a video yesterday. I thought I had saved the link, but I only saved what this Jewish rabbi said when he went to Eddie Long Church in Atlanta, Georgia. But this was a different timing that he said it at. This another church, which were the mass majority of people in there were white people. And this rabbi got up in front of and said that a curse was placed on our people, where he didn't say who went around the tree. He said it was a seven, went around the tree 7 times. And the curse was 3 curses that was brought forth. I can't even get it. Brought for it. Okay. All right. One was sexual immorality. Another was we would forget who we are. And the other it was the third one. Let me get it right quick. Okay, right here as you see it, I didn't put the link under this one. But it says the Jewish man says it was a curse that someone went around a tree 7 times in Africa. And the curses were 1, sexual immorality, 2, forget who we are as the people, 3, poverty stricken. So forgetting who we as a people will have us to forget about our Creator, our Most High, our Tata, our Supreme Being. So we were separated through the lineup of the Jesus Christ storyline. So when you look at Africa in a whole, when you look at America in a whole, and even though one may say, well, we are doing better or have done better in so many ways because we were in the belly of the beast with these people and we benefited and still benefiting to this day, but we got to look at the whole picture. When you do the calculation, the percentages of who really got and who don't, the mass majority of people in America don't have as Black people. A small percentage compared to them. They have, just say 99% of the ones who making it and successful, and I'm speaking in the lineup, I've done research years back, but not of recent, but it's still the same. And 99% of our people not making it, in a sense. Even though we have shiny objects, even though what you see on the continent of people excelling and so forth, that and the other, and, for whatever and however reason, look at the mass of them, how poverty have stricken our people. But the mass of our people believe in that Jesus Christ storyline. We forgot who we are. Then sexual immorality is a big part. You understand?
When you talk about the Hebrew people, I think that would also say that, the record of the Hebrew race, do we need to know the blood ethnicity of the Hebrews? I don't know. But when I look at the way that the Jew of the scripture, the way the Hebrews of the scripture were treated, this people has been treated that way. And what it says of the people in Deuteronomy 28, that if they rejected his law, what would happen to them? That has happened to this people. Read that, Deuteronomy 28. It says that they would be taken on ships into Egypt again and be placed in bondage, and no one would redeem them. That has happened to this people. It's over and over. And so you start asking the question, do you mean to tell me that God's not going to help this people because they're not Jews, even though the system has treated them 100% as if they were? And you don't think the God that delivered captives out of Egypt isn't near to this people? I tell you, they are special to him. And I'll tell you, I was thinking about this as I was coming in, that the idea that the system that enslaved them could then liberate them just is not true. Really, what I think we need in this life is the prophetic eyesight to get out of the way, right? Yahweh is doing an act of deliverance. And I also would say, as part of the...
So he said something significant there. He said that the system that enslaved them will not, Deliver them. Deliver us. And that's the truth. They will die in the system if it was left up to them. The system that we are part of, that's why, you once pulling back. I can't tell you the last time I've really looked at the news in full. It's been close to a year where I would look at a whole news, one would come on like CNN. I used to look at them a lot, probably now going a year and a half per se, but I'm so detached. I don't know what's really going on. There are times I don't find out things for days later or weeks later because I'm so detached. You understand? So it's, to pull out and get in the path of our Creator to build that relationship that we need, even though we may not understand the fullness of it, of what really, really, really happened. Because, one may be satisfied and say, oh, what the Bible speaks of, that we fell from grace and we stopped serving our Almighty and da 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 da. I believe it's more to it that we're going to learn, because we have to, once we get to this awakening and we backtrack to find our truth by, what we would call removing the lies and adding it with truth, or removing the lies and knowing that there's more to it and you're still seeking, right? That we still have to face the fact that our Creator allowed this to happen. So it's a question I've been seeking. Our Tata, our Most High, our Supreme Being, Father, why? I know it's more to it. And for ones to point and say it's just the Black people in America, that is incorrect. When you look at the scale of this and look across the whole earth, it's all the dark Eumelanin people. No matter where they go, they can go to Italy, they can go, Africans can go to Italy, they can go to anywhere in Europe, even come to America. And they're thinking like the beautiful sister who she has been, I want to say she was with the United African Union, and her name is not coming, but you all, if I call her name, you would know who I'm talking about. But she even said that when she went to college in America, she said that someone in a store called her, Black, or either, I'm not sure if it said Negro, a nigger, and she was like, that's not me. I'm an African. And her friend, which was her roommate, I want to say, explained to her, said, no, they see our color. We all one people. They don't know you from Africa until you start talking. And that's the same thing. But it doesn't matter, because the whole thing is the system. It was to keep us down across the earth. So when you think of like those countries I named out, like Morocco, Libya, and those northern countries, like at the top, but really at the bottom of the map, but we're going to, for the sake of what they, putting it out in that lineup, not to confuse anybody, like Egypt and Israel and all those other, Iran, and when you got Saudi Arabia and all those places, there were nothing but Black people all over it. But mainly you see a lot of, the geno of their lineup, that at the far end of the spectrum to your right, is there. But look at the other African countries, right? Look at the other African countries who's still being controlled by the white geno to the far right, who came much later. They were colonized by these people, by that geno, and still to this day, whether if they Chinese coming in, that geno still connects to those people to the far right. You understand? Even though Chinese people have more melanin, but they still connect also to those people to the far right. I want y'all to understand that. So all those countries in Africa, you may say, oh, they have their own presidents, they make their own this and that family. They're still being monitored. They're still being watched. They still have a colonization system that is in place to this day. They still have to give answers to these people to whatever level and whatever degree. Let's not be fooled by this. If you think not, then I strongly suggest that you go deeper, because it points that we all are the same people. And it goes by our Eumelanin attributes that they trying to keep us at a standstill, at a place. You understand? So that goes to say that one speak as though, oh no, it is, it's just the black people in America. Now, why Father allowed for the ones that come on the slave ship to America in the midst of these people and went through all the atrocities, and these people still here with us even to this day, and we still here with these people, that speaks volume. I'm not saying that, we haven't been put aside for certain tasks, but through it all in all, for me, knowing that at once when I was awakened that we were the Israelites of the Bible, and then that points to us being the dark Eumelanin people across the whole earth, and which include our pharaohs and our kings, and ones in Australia, ones in Canada, ones in South America, ones in America, ones throughout the earth, the islands, all of us throughout Africa are the same people. Our descendants, we are descendants of the originals to the earth. Let's continue.
The black-white equation, I would argue that is the Jew-Gentile equation. That's the same dilemma. That the Jew was black, right? We know that the people that are here that came on ships from West Africa, we call them black, but they're not black, they're brown, because black isn't about the color of the skin. Black is about polarizing the ruling class from the slave class, right? And so when the scripture talks about the dividing wall between Jew and Gentile, the Jew was the slave. When the Jew reject Yahweh, the story was they would go back into bondage. And wait, right? Groan for what a time, right? We know that the scripture tells us that it was 430 years. It says 400 once, and then it says 430. So, but still a deliverer, and we see that the scripture talks about some sort of an exodus, right? And one, even Moses said, one would come like him.
So the separation is quite evident. Is our Eumelanin versus their Pheomelanin. That's how they know who we are, and they can tell by the closer we are to that is how darker we are. That means of the melanin percentage and our woolly hair. When they start seeing, we start getting lighter, and our features, as far as our, hair texture start changing, they know we're more closer, further from the originals, but still in so many ways. They know who you are. Even though we all, in so many ways, get treated a certain way. But trust me, when they did all this of what you would call genocide, and all what they have done in Europe, in what you would call what they're doing in Palestine today, a lot of those Palestinians are actually mixed with dark Eumelanin and Pheomelanin. They're mixed, more so, right? Okay, fam, sorry for the interruption. But yeah, so just wanted to just touch bases with you all again on it. And let's see, is a little bit more this brother's going to say. Let's see what else. No, I think, that was it actually. So I'm going to close out. Blessings to you all. Matando, and get to see you all in the next video as the Most High give me leeway.